Right, I still have so much to tell, but so I'm going to do a bonus video. This is going to be it of my story and how I come to end up having 2 little spirit children. Well, it was it was a show that I was going to go to. It was a Christian show, and it's been held in a certain place in Gisborne, where stuff is held. I'm not going to say the name of the place. And I went there with someone, and it was all good. Kind of, there's lots of people and that. But I went in and sat down, and the thing started, and it wasn't long before I started to feel just other people. I started to feel other people around, and I thought, okay, so good. And when I felt that, I was kind of had my eye on the exit door. It wasn't too far away from me. I remember that used to be there a long time ago. But I used to go to this place, and it just got to the point where I said to my friend, who's not my friend anymore, I just told her, I gotta go to the front. I'll wait for you out there. And sit out there. So about an hour to an hour and a half, as long as this damn thing took, I sat out in the foyer. I'd rather sit out there and miss everything than feel these people that were probably not far from me, if not around me. Because you don't bother people that you're not going to get a reaction from. So they will usually go to someone that can pick them up, and they'll stand by them and stuff, or sometimes they may be just strong and they can, But I didn't know who these spirits were. I just felt very uncomfortable. And it was another, oh God, what's going on? So I sat out there, and I was sitting there for a very long time. And then the cleaning lady kind of came up to where I was, and I said, oh, hello. She said, hi. I said to her, straight out, as I always seem to do, you've got ghosts in your main area where you do your shows. And she said, I know. She says, well, I'm the cleaner, and I've got to go and clean in there, and when I do clean in there, I can't stay in there for very long. And she had this big green stone pendant, and she said that I wear this as a protection. I said, wow, so you feel them too, do you? She goes, yes. I said, yeah, I thought I was better off I stayed out here than just eventually ended up having my nerves start to go real frail. Because that's kind of what happens when you stay in that environment with that feeling. You become very anxiety, and you can get to hyperventilating and everything. It can cause all that because it's such strong emotions that are impounding on your body. It's crazy. So that was a nice confirmation thing I got there. And what I did was, I used to enjoy walking through the graveyard. Especially in springtime, I'd go visit my grandfather's grave and other people, and I'd just walk along and just see a lot of the names of the people that I knew. Because there were patients that were in the hospital, and they were in there for a long time, and we got to know them. We'd become friends because we used to live for them, and we'd take them here and there, and we'd become friends, so everybody became quite pally with the regulars, and they all eventually just died off. So I would go there and just say hello to the ones that I knew, and stuff like that, and it was just nice to feel the energy. I could never ever put my finger on what that place felt like. It had its own feeling. It had a feeling of very, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I guess when I feel that place, used to feel that place, I felt it from the other way. And sometimes the other way, unless you've got something to compare it with, it's hard to explain. If it's a voice, you can say, oh, I heard a voice. Or if it's singing, I heard singing. Or if it's a horrible feeling, oh, it was a bad feeling. But I don't know, I can't explain what this was, because it was very, it was a mixture of two things, a mixture of two energies that I could feel. And I never felt any spirits in there. I felt a very strong energy, but I never felt any spirits. And all the times I'd ever gone in my life, I felt, well, there was one time that we kind of were in there at night one time, and we went near the new ones at night, and I felt very uncomfortable. I felt there was something there at that time. But ultimately every other time, no. Then after I had my breakdown, I wanted to go have a visit there, so one of my old friends, we went there. She used to visit her dad, and we went there, and I thought, well, cool, I'll be able to go through here. Because I was still, thinking there's still more normality in my life. I put my job aside. I couldn't do that anymore. Because being an orderly, just couldn't do it. Just didn't have it in me to want to deal with anything anymore. That breakdown just really shook my life. Really did. And we went there and I hopped out. I couldn't believe it. I was just hit with all these emotional feelings. I could just feel these beings. They were so strong. And I just started to freaking crumble on the inside. I just felt like I was surrounded by things I couldn't see, and I felt so overwhelmed, and I started to feel very frightened, and I felt cramped, I felt trapped. And I said to my friend, I said, oh, can you get me out of here? And I jumped in the car, and we went, and I wasn't far from bawling my eyes out. I just felt so overwhelmed and just unbelievable how I felt. And I never felt that ever in my life in that place. So what happened? What did my inner self suddenly become more alive? Why did I feel the people? And I never really thought there were spirits that stayed in the graveyard. And that was my own thought, because I'd never felt anything except for that one time. That was a long time ago. So, but after that, I can tell you without a doubt that there are spirits in our graveyard that are in there, 100%. They're in there, 100%. And why they stay there, I don't know. It makes no sense to me. But they frightened me out of there, and I never went back again. They probably didn't even mean me any harm. They probably crowd around everybody who goes in there, and I guess not everybody's a sucker and can pick it up. So that was that. So now I go, if I want to go for a walk through the graveyard, I go online. They have online cemetery, so I go on that now, and I don't feel anything. Yeah. Oh God, I tell you. But honestly, I do my best to stay away from haunted places or places where there's death. And I know that may seem weird, because I have a couple of spirit boys. But there's a difference between having spirits that you are comfortable with, and and they're like family, to having a lot of beings around that you don't know, that are maybe reaching out to you, and you don't know them, and your body's picking them up. Your system's picking them up, and it's going to your brain, and your brain sending you signals to you, say, okay, there's stuff around you, and it gets quite, But yes, no, I've had hyperventilating from feeling spirits. That I would have heard hyperventilating in that graveyard if I had stayed there long enough. My breathing would have started to become very tight, like that. And that's what they do to me because of when I get that cramped feeling from those situations, and it's really bad and strong. I get anxiety. They give me anxiety as well. Yeah. So it's very, very shit scenario. But the story I definitely want to tell now. Back in the 90s, must have been, maybe could have been 1992. Could have been 92. I was asleep in my bed. I was working on the broccoli farm at that time. I was sleeping on my bed, and I had a grey top on with the sleeves cut off, and I was wearing kind of shorts down to the knee. And I went to bed as usual, and okay, so this is going to be a start of a new one, is it? So I'll finish off the story in the next one. But yeah, so I was asleep, nodding away, and I suddenly, strangely and weirdly, found myself standing outside my friend's house on his concrete. My friend, he lived in Aerodrome Road. His name was Roy Boy, and I was standing on his concrete out the front of his house, kind of looking where the door is. But I'm going to carry on this one, okay?